Thank you for coming. It is 7 p.m., and I call the February 27th, 2023 regular school board meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Stacy Lockington, would you please call the roll?
Barb Wench.
Here.
Ellen Fox.
Here.
Jennifer Deek.
Here.
Maggie Smith.
Here.
Gary Dunlap.
Here.
Chris Lau.
Here.
Bridget Todd Robbins.
Here.
All right, with 6 of the 6 board members present, I declare a quorum. I note that the agenda has been posted, distributed, and sent to the local media. With this in mind, are there any changes to this agenda? I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as published.
So moved.
All right, Barb has moved. Do we have a second?
I will second.
All right, Chris has seconded to approve the agenda as published. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to approve the agenda as published, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by saying nay. The motion to approve the published agenda has passed. So each year, the School District of Holmen invites local lawmakers to attend a board meeting to provide an update on legislation impacting public education and share their thoughts. I would now like to welcome State Senator Brad Pfaff to the presenters table.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to come before you. Thank you for the work that you do. It is a partnership that the state of Wisconsin has with school districts like yours. And I personally greatly appreciate the work that you do as board members, and I greatly appreciate all of the educators and support staff for the work that they do to make sure that Holmen has a world-class education. And as a state senator, it is my personal pledge to you that I will always be an advocate for public education. I am a proud product of public education. I myself am a graduate of Melrose Mindoro High School, received both my bachelor's and master's degree in public education, and I recognize the fact, regardless of one's zip code, regardless of one's background and social economic background, that they have an opportunity to succeed as a result of this wonderful education system that we have. And together, I pledge to you to work with you to make sure that all the students here in the Holmen School District going forward, today and going forward, have an opportunity to succeed. As we recognize, it isn't easy, but there's important work that we need to be able to do. I want to thank the taxpayers of the Holmen School District as well for recognizing the importance of what all of you do in this school district. Approving the referendums in 2022, they recognize the value that education has for this community, what it means for this area, as well as what it means for our economy. They recognize and they support your efforts, and they recognize that it is a partnership, working with parents and working with those within the community to make sure that this district reflects the values of this community and at the same time prepares our students as we move forward. Some information I want to share with you in regards to a state budget process. And I first of all want to state the obvious, and that is this is the beginning of the state budget process. So there will be a lot of give and take here over the next few months. And I sure hope that my office will continue to receive correspondence and information from you as a board, but also you individually, if you desire to share your opinions in regards to the state budget. Some of the highlights that Governor Evers announced in his budget address to the joint session of the legislature on Wednesday, February 15th, included the following: $1 billion increase over the biennium through the state's general equalization aid formula. That would be the second largest proposed direct investment in state general aids since the 1995-1997 biennium. In addition, a more than $1 billion increase in special education aid over the biennium, which would increase the reimbursement rates, essentially double it, to 60% in both years of the biennium. This also includes increasing high-cost special education reimbursements from 39.5% to 60% by the end of the two-year biennium. Granting districts a sizable increase in revenue-raising authority with a per-pupil revenue limit increase of $350 in fiscal year 23 and 24, and an additional $650 in fiscal year 24 and 25. And then freeze enrollment in schools participating in the parental choice program for school years 2024, 2025 at the 2023 enrollment levels. There was also some investments when it comes to mental health initiatives that's taking place within the schools. And I know that you're tracking that, and I appreciate the work that you're doing. But the budget that was proposed invests more than $270 million in the student mental health. And there's a proposal, an initiative that he's trying to make permanent. It's called the Get Kids Ahead initiative, a permanent program. This would include $118 million annually in per pupil payments instead of the competitive grants that schools currently receive for mental health services. And it would be an $18 million per year to reimburse schools for costs around an expanded list of school mental health professionals, and would allow schools to receive Medicaid reimbursement for telehealth costs. Now, this is the proposals that have been brought forward. As we all recognize, the legislature has to do its work. And there's been an awful lot of comments by individual legislators in regards to the governor's budget proposal that was brought forward. I will say this, the governor set the narrative. And I do believe the debate will be taking place around the narrative that the governor has laid out. We will see where we go as far as what the actual makeup of the budget, what it will look like. It's going to take your help as far as making sure that my fellow colleagues hear from you directly in regards to this. I will share the following in regards to the state Senate district that I represent. Holmen and Melrose Mindoro are the far northern ends of this Senate district. And then it follows the Mississippi River south, almost 90 miles, to the Prairie du Chien, Wazeeka, Steuben School District. It goes east, starting in La Crosse, DeSoto, and going all the way east to the Hillsborough area and even into Toma School District. We see school districts that have declining enrollment. We see school districts that have continued to seek assistance when it comes to operating dollars. We see some school districts that have some infrastructure, some building needs. But we also see school districts that are committed to the work that they do. And they recognize the fact that they want to make sure that they have, as districts, they have the tools that they need in order to make sure that our students can succeed. That's all very important. But what I also hear is this, is that being an educator today, and it never was easy, but being an educator today is not easy. There's an awful lot of pressures that our educators face. COVID obviously exposed a number of those pressures. But having said that, there also is that pressure as far as trying to make ends meet with these inflationary pressures that are taking place, making sure that they're in a profession that is valued. That is something that I hear often from individual educators. And I do believe that education is a profession that we want to have more individuals seek. And I think that, I strongly believe that there is a desire in this state to make sure that we keep our public education strong. So with that, I would be happy to take any questions that you may have. I would welcome the opportunity once the budget continues to progress to continue to communicate with you through email or through teleconference, whatever would be best. My office is your office, so please feel free to reach out at any time to speak with me or to members of my professional team that work in my state office in Madison. And obviously, if you're in Madison, you're more than welcome to stop on by. So I'd be happy to take any questions any of you may have.
Any questions? All right, I'll ask a question.
Thank you.
So I just looked it up. I see it's over in the assembly right now, so it's not on your side, but it looked like something similar happened last year where there was a bill that was being talked about where the schools would have to report out on crime. I think the governor vetoed it. It passed the legislature last year and the governor vetoed it. Is there, I guess, do you understand the full purpose behind this and what the data is going to be used for?
Yeah, that's the concerns that I have. What would that data be used for? And so, I cannot speak on the motive or the origin of that legislation, but that my concern on that legislation as it brought forward is that is the recording of it and what would happen with that data as far as for the individual student going forward. So, will that legislation be reintroduced? We will see. We will see if they will do that. But again, I'd have to reach out to that individual author. But thank you. Anything further? I want to compliment Mr. Fox for being a student representative. I know that that's a tremendous accomplishment. On these walls behind me are my two children who had the opportunity to serve as a student representative. And I'll tell you, they learned an awful lot. They learned that this isn't easy, and they learned that there's an awful lot that goes into it. So I think that's a good, humbling experience, and you learn a lot. So congratulations to you.
I guess one other thing, looks like nobody else is talking, is I've been reading, I think it's state of Wisconsin, if not nationwide, that like 2/3 of fourth grade students are not proficient in reading.
That's right.
I mean, I'm guessing this must be a big concern.
It's a tremendous concern. We have to close the achievement gap in the state of Wisconsin. And it is a tremendous concern. And the question becomes is that, and I've been speaking with DPI and the Department of Public Instruction and others in regards to this, is how are we as a state going to address this? There is, each individual district, has their own score. But as a state, we are not where we want to be here. And, there is some socioeconomic issues that we need to address there. There is some school funding issues that we need to address there. I know that DPI is working with the university system in regards to working with educators in regards to this. But this is a big, big issue in this state. And this is an issue that I do believe at the bipartisan level we have to address. There is a lot of, in politics, there can be a lot of different finger pointing and going back and forth like this. But at the end of the day, we need to address this issue because Wisconsin is not where we want to be in that issue, with that issue. And there is a real achievement gap that's taking place in this state. And we need to do better. And so there's different ideas of what we can do and different state examples. Some of that may have relevance as far as other states, but also this is something really internally that we need to be a little bit more aggressive, and we need to tackle this. We need to focus on this. We do.
I think I also read that the state of Wisconsin had it was either the biggest gap between 2019 and now, or one of
the largest in the nation. That is absolutely right.
Yeah.
And I know that there's bipartisan concern there. Is there bipartisan ways to address this? No. No, there isn't. And it becomes, unfortunately, we start talking past one another. I know that at the committee level and at the task force level, there's been a lot of work that's been done. But trying to, get that, onto the legislative floor and to pull some of the politics out of it hasn't happened. It hasn't happened. But thank you for bringing this up, and continue to ask individuals like myself and other legislators what we're going to do on it, because we need to answer it. It's not getting better. Yeah, good question. Thank you.
You know, as the budget moves forward, do you see areas where both parties are coming together around, or areas that we're seeing huge significant difference of opinions?
Well, there is always going to be differences of opinions, but I do believe that this will be bipartisan. I honestly believe there will be some bipartisan in this. I do believe, outside of education, and I'll talk about education in a second, but I do believe there is some bipartisan support for some tax relief. And I do believe that there will be some income tax relief that will be within this budget. And I think that is I support that. I support tax reform, and I support tax relief, and I'm on record saying that. The state of Wisconsin right now has a $7.1 billion budget surplus. This is the largest state surplus we have ever had as a state. There's a lot of reasons for this. Some of it is a result of the fact that we received a significant amount of federal money from the federal government. Also, we were able to bounce back our economy quicker than we thought we did. Now, we're not out of the woods yet. Don't get me wrong. There's, inflation's too high, and there's not as many people in the workforce as we'd like to see in the workforce. But the economy is, overall at the macro level, stronger than what was anticipated when COVID was taking place. But I do believe tax reform can be bipartisan. I believe we can get there. I believe we can get on bipartisan when it comes to shared revenue. This is the concept for your colleagues in the village of Holmen, the city of Onalaska, and others. Shared revenue, where the state of Wisconsin sends revenue dollars back to these local municipalities in order to assist them in the services that they provide, because they have levy limits that are put in place. So I believe there's an opportunity to increase with shared revenue. I do believe that I want to believe that there's bipartisan support for the need to more dollars for education. I know there should be bipartisan support when it comes to the money available for special education. My district isn't alone when it comes to declining enrollment. There's other declining enrollment districts, obviously, in this state, particularly in the north and the center part of this state. So I do believe, as far as what we can do with per pupil, I think that's where we can get there. The concern is that the formulas need to be fixed. The shared revenue formula needs to be fixed. The formula for funding our public schools need to be fixed. But what is going to be the long-term cost of fixing those? Now, we got upfront money now in this budget, but if we try and fix the formula going forward, there could potentially be cost. And that is where I believe some of the real conversations are going to take place. And that's why I encourage you to come to Madison, speak with members of the Joint Finance Committee, speak with my fellow colleagues, share your story, and work as we work together on this, these dollars going forward. Let's not forget the state of Wisconsin. I mean, this issue, as far as school funding, has been studied over and over. I mean, we've had bipartisan task force on this. There's great recommendations that came from this bipartisan task force, and yet we can't get it across the finish line. And that's what's so concerning. And, I believe we have a better opportunity this time than we have in the past. I believe that the extreme partisan fever has broken. That doesn't mean there isn't, partisan politics, and there's a time and a place for partisan politics, but I believe the extreme partisan fever in Madison has broken. I do believe that the election, did just kind of, to a certain extent, put a cooling off, and let's get to work. And, we'll see. You'll probably call me back here in the next few months and say, what were you saying? What were you thinking? But boy, I sure hope it's broken. Thank you for the question.
All right, any other questions?
Yeah. So you mentioned declining enrollment rates across the state, and I know there's a lot of debate on the causes of that, but I was wondering what you specifically thought the causes of that were, or if you have any input on what the causes of that are.
Well, a lot of it's demographics. Without a doubt, it's demographics. I mean, the thing is that there's people that are having children. They're having fewer children, and they're having children later in life, and so that has an impact that's taking place. I very much believe that we in Wisconsin need to make sure that we continue to retain and attract people to come to this state, to stay in this state, and to come to this state. I mean, one of the things that I am a strong proponent of is making sure that we can continue to build out our graduates that graduate from University of Wisconsin-La Crosse and elsewhere from our great the university we have here in our technical school. Every year in the fall, we have 9,000 to 10,000 undergraduates that come to University of Wisconsin-La Crosse, but by the end of the May, they may be leaving. Or if they graduate, they go somewhere else. And obviously, I want to do everything I can to grow this economy in this region, Alan, to make sure that those graduates have a place they can find employment here. They can, decide that they want to put roots in the ground here in this area. And that is, we got to build out this economy in this area. We got to diversify this economy. Now, don't get me wrong, this economy is continuing to diverse. 50 years ago, it was much more of a manufacturing economy. Today, it's very much a healthcare economy. But that doesn't mean we can't continue to diversify this economy in order to make sure that we keep our graduates here. Build out Western Technical College to make sure that there's, again, more opportunities for, workers here and to continue to grow this very diversified economy that we have. That is something I'm trying to do in order to try and counteract these changing demographics that we have. But having said that, every single day, regardless if it's the Holmen School District or if it's the Brookwood School District or the Lafarge School District, they need to make sure that they're prepared in order to provide the students that are sitting in those desks a high-quality education, and they need resources now. So we have to do this, and we've got to recognize the responsibilities as a legislature that we have, and we also need to recognize that as a legislature we work in partnership with our local school boards. You are constitutionally elected office holders that represent your residents, your constituents, and you have a job to do. It's very important, and I have a job to do, and I want to make sure that we can work together on this. So it's a good question, Alan, as far as what we do with population. It is a big issue. We gotta keep our graduates in this state. We gotta diversify this economy. We need to make sure that we continue to have quality amenities and quality education system, and I think we have that. We just need to continue to keep our eye on the ball. And I just think there's a lot of different distractions, unfortunately, take place sometimes in politics. And I think we need to recognize the job that we have to do, and that is keep our eye on the ball and grow our economy and represent our constituents, so make sure that they've got the tools that they need. So,
Right.
well, thank you for giving me the opportunity. It is a real honor. And, good luck the rest of this academic year going forward. I'm going to do a shout out to my friend Mike Gasper back there. Holmen School has some of the best nutrition program. I'm proud of the work that this school district does. I really am. I also, as a farm boy who was involved in the FFA program, this school district, has a wonderful agriculture education as well. So there's a lot of good things that are happening here within the Holmen schools. And thank you, Dr. Mueller, for your leadership and the entire board for what you do. I appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you,
Thank you.
Senator Paff. And
Appreciate it.
hopefully we'll see you at the WASB Day at the Capitol in a
I
few
hope
weeks.
so. Stop on by. Great job. Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Okay, moving on. I do not believe we have public participation this evening. So moving on to the district administrator's report, Dr. Mueller.
Yeah, we have some celebrations this evening. We have 17 powerlifters that qualified for the state meet, and we did get some individual wrestlers up to Madison for the individual state tournament, and they returned. Turner Campbell came back with a third place medal, state at state. Preston Cradaville, sixth place, and then Nora Lee was a fifth place, and Evelyn Vetch got third place. So congratulations to our individual wrestlers. And it was the first time both girls and boys had their state tournament up there. And as a board, you should be very proud because we were quite the leader in making sure that it was for both our representative of both our males and females. So thank you for that. Also want to congratulate two middle school students, Dean Teal and Harmon Burke. Dean was a grand champion at our regional spelling bee, and Harmon finished in the top 5. So both will advance to the state spelling bee in Madison coming up. And then I want to thank all of those that were on the committee that put together our literacy night at the high school. That was unbelievable. Hundreds of people came and celebrated with our cuckoo kangaroo. So thank you to the committee who put that together and to all the families that joined us that evening. It's great to celebrate around literacy. Just so we can put this on our calendars, we do have our state ACT for our juniors March 7th, so make sure they get a good breakfast that morning. And I'm excited to share once again that we will have a candidate forum on Monday, March 20th, and Alan, our own student rep, will be facilitating that forum with some of his fellow classmates from the high school. So please come join us that evening. We have board candidates for that are Bridget Todd Robbins, Lindsay Need, Jennifer Wesley, Khadijah Islam, and Maggie Smith. And lastly, I just want to recognize and thank Brian Wolpat. He has resigned from the board, but I want to thank him for his years in all of his service to our school district and our families and students and so on. I'm sure he still will see him around and wish him well in his endeavors. So congratulations to him and thank him. All right.
All right. We're moving on to board organization. The board will now elect a new board clerk due to the resignation of Brian Wolpat, who previously filled that office from the board. If a board member holding a board office is elected to a new office, we will also hold the election to fill that role. So to start us off, are there any nominations for the office of clerk?
I nominate Maggie Smith.
Okay, Maggie Smith has been nominated. Are there any other nominations? Okay, and a third time, are there any other nominations? Okay, since there is only one nomination, I would entertain a motion to close the nominations and cast a unanimous ballot for Maggie Smith.
So moved.
All right, Chris, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Gary. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carried. All right. Congratulations, Maggie. All right, moving on to recognition and thank yous, Dr. Mueller.
Well, I guess Mr. Gasper, I'm glad he showed up tonight because we have we are celebrating coming up this next week, March 6th through 10th. It's National School Breakfast Week. So we just want to not only thank Mr. Gasper and his staff, but all of our nutrition services staff for the wonderful job they do day in and day out with not only providing breakfast, but all those fantastic lunches. And feeding so many of us. So we thank them for helping our students getting their days started off with a nutrition meal. So I know many people will be guest servers again and enjoy the time with the students during that week. So thank you for that. And lastly, just want to thank the Holmen's Lions Club. They donated $500 to our Holmen Middle School. So we thank them for their donation to help out with that.
All right, thank you. Okay, moving on to reports and discussion. I welcome the elementary school counselors to provide the student services presentation. This item is for report only. It will not appear on a consent agenda.
Come on up. Yeah. You all can come on up and grab your time around there.
Do you want chairs or are you okay standing? I'm okay standing. I'm okay standing. All right. Okay, well, thank you very much for having us. We're really honored to be able to talk a little bit about what we do. One of our things that we have talked about is as elementary school counselors, we get to play a key role in setting the foundation for students to grow emotionally, socially, and academically. And to set the foundation for our presentation tonight, we actually brought a video, because who better to hear it from than the students we serve. So hopefully our sound will work.
Are there when they see them? She puts a smile on my face. That makes my heart feel good. I think our school counselor is the best school counselor. She makes me smile. She teaches us about things and she's very lighthearted and happy. She makes me feel really good because I come in the room sometimes like not feeling the greatest, but then when I go out, it's like feels just better because she's nice. It makes me feel good, and it makes me feel good to know that I have someone to rely on. When students have problems, they talk through those problems and try to make it better. Every time when I'm blue, I come stop down here and talk with her by helping them calm down when they're really mad and really tense. She's always in the mood to talk to people. She's never like, she never has like a frown on her face. She's always really happy. Like, it's just that we know each other well and that I know that I have somebody to go to. I need help. If you're feeling stressed or you don't feel too comfortable about something, they make it seem like better, make you not seem so worried. They help us with our problems and they can help us get through tough situations. Or if they're having problems and they just need to talk to somebody, they're there for them. I like Mrs. Cobb's that because she makes us happy. If one of us is having a problem and Mr. Eichen or whoever your counselor is in their office, you can just go to them and you have somebody to rely on if you have trouble. She's the best school counselor and, she's just good at what she does. I can imagine a better person than Mrs. Toes.
So thank you to Travis for helping us out with that because technology skills maybe not be one of our strong suits as far as that goes. So we really appreciate it. So just to introduce ourselves, I'm Courtney Dummer. I'm the school counselor at Viking Elementary.
And I'm Amy Copes, the counselor at San Lake Elementary.
I'm Gwen Allen, and I'm the school counselor at Evergreen Elementary.
And Brett Eichen, I'm the school counselor at Prairie View.
All right.
So what we basically do, about 80% of our day is with students. That translates into about 80 guidance classes each month. Also, we meet with kids individually. We meet kids in small groups. The remainder of our time, we spend a lot of time communicating and collaborating with parents, with community resources. We also team with the school psychologists, social worker, and community counselors that we're fortunate to have coming into our school. And we also spend quite a bit of time with school-wide behavioral and emotional supports and positive school climate through various committees.
So we thought we'd break that down a little bit for you, a little bit more. So a lot of what we do is skill building. So when we go into the classroom and we do our classroom counseling, we lay foundational skills based on these themes that you see on the screen. And again, we're in the classrooms every single day, working with kids to develop these skills that we can then build on if we're working with them in a small group or extend that to individually as well. And one of the things that's really awesome about Holmen and us being able to get into the classroom as much is that it really gives us a great opportunity to build those positive relationships with kids and allows them to see us as that familiar face. So let's say they are having a tough day. They know there's somebody to go to because we've already established that role with them. We talk to them about what we do, and they're just more comfortable coming to us after that. So we feel really fortunate that we're able to work on all different capacities with our students.
It's me. Collaboration. We are fortunate. We get to collaborate with so many within the school and then outside of the school as well. So our main goal is to provide support for all students. And inside schools, we have wraparound teams where we all work together to meet the needs of students, both socially, emotionally, and academic. And some of these teams include the school behavior teams, the social workers, psychologists, and of course all the teachers who refer and let us know of what students who might need support as well. Outside of the schools, we get to collaborate with some of the community resources. And again, providing resources for students' basic needs is important. Through these community resources, we can provide winter jackets, gloves, snacks, Friday food bags with those that have potential food shortages. And that's just a few of the people that we collaborate with. But.
And then I just want to say, I think as an elementary school counselor, all of us would say that one of our key things is that we know every student in that school, and they know who we are. And I think that is a key component to being an elementary school counselor, to know every single one of them. It helps to provide that positive climate, not just for students, but we are there for staff as well. And we provide that response services, which that is, we are available. And when those kids come in and have maybe experienced a traumatic situation before school or over the weekend, we're the first line of people that are there to be able to support them. As well as if they're really struggling with something, we're there to help and support them and respond the best that we can. And I want to open it up to any questions that you guys may have.
Any questions? I'd just like to say that I think you guys are amazing, and I experienced firsthand my kids coming home and being so excited about guidance class and what they learned and the different techniques they can use to, for calming or, I don't know, just different things that they learn there. So I think Holmen's really fortunate for the amount of time that you guys are able to spend in the classroom. So thank you so much. So.
I'll echo that with no questions, but just gratitude. I also have elementary school students, and I'm continually impressed when they just accurately identify their feelings and communicate about them. So it's important work. Thank you.
Yeah, we always know what zone they're in.
Yes. I definitely know the zones.
So.
And I would say the same thing. I mean, I have a son who absolutely had so much support when he was at Evergreen, and I mean, just the communication was amazing, and I have just tremendous gratitude for what all of you do as well.
And I'm impressed they know the zone, so good job.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, Director of Safety and Student Services, as well as the interim principal at Sand Lake, Matt Myers, will present the report on education for employment. This item will appear on the March 13th consent agenda.
Thanks for introducing me. I'm never sure what to go with these days, so I'm glad that's kind of out of the way. Thanks, Jennifer. We're going to take a look at our district's Education for Employment program and our plan, our updated plan tonight. And just kind of take a look at the plan and share some of the goals. So our E4E plan, or Education for Employment, is kind of just one piece of the puzzle that helps us see the roadmap to every student graduating ready for success in their career and community. And for everyone, that might look a little bit different. So that pathway can include heading right to the workforce, maybe a 2-year college, maybe a 4-year college, or several others. And our main goal as a school district is just wanting to prepare our students for future employment and careers, whatever that looks like. So this plan, and there's several other board reports that come kind of under the same umbrella. This plan is really a helicopter view, just showing some of the things that kind of statutorily go into that 10,000-foot view. Even at its best, this plan really can't encapsulate all the many things that our staff does to prepare students for future success, but it outlines some areas where we're a little bit more targeted and explicit. And the team that came together to kind of recreate the plan that used to be, very text-based and hard to read, really wanted to evaluate what we planned to do at the beginning when the statute was created, what maybe we weren't able to do through COVID, and then what we would like it to look like moving forward. So in this new format, what we'll be looking to do is evaluate each of these areas each year and take away and edit and add things as we go. You'll notice in different components of the plan, either high school or middle school is a focus. Generally, as we look at elementary level, starting even in kindergarten, we want to talk about career awareness. As we get to the middle school, more career exploration. And then at the high school, it's really about that planning and preparation. So what does that look like? And again, many of these things are felt through programs like Trade Tuesday or our youth apprenticeships. This plan doesn't necessarily get into this, but all of that helps create our culture of career readiness and include our community partners to learn more about what they're looking for in terms of a workforce, which even can include, I hesitate to say finished product, but what we want our graduates to look and feel like, and then incorporating some of our social emotional learning components in there so we have employees that are ready to go. Within 1A here is our analysis of the labor market. So we'll see if this pops up. Just kind of looking at some of our career-ready planning, our labor market and education information. So what are our hot jobs in La Crosse County? Where are our students going? Some of our top post-secondary institutions in terms of where our students are enrolling. I appreciate our team wanted to take a look at some of those soft job skills. What do we need to teach our students in order to enter the workforce? And then looking at some of our statewide trends and our major employers in the county. This plan also talks about our process to engage and how we communicate. And within that 1B area, I'd like to just specifically highlight our counselors' junior meetings and the significant work that our middle school counselors have done to enhance our 8th grade meetings and plan for those 8th grade to 9th grade transitions. Our 1C talks about how we integrate this work into the classrooms. Many times our teachers do this without even knowing it. So they're teaching something that they're not calling ACP or they're not calling career readiness, but it's hitting on those components. And 1D, when we're engaging businesses, again, I'd like to highlight the many things that Lindsay Sipe and our high school student services team do to bring our community partners into our buildings. So you'll see listed here our Trade Tuesdays and the branches of the military that are represented, along with some specific themes that they highlight. We also, again, want to talk about that career awareness at the elementary level, and our school counselors carry a lot of that out, really about the types of jobs and why people work. And then what are those expectations and school connectedness with those expectations at work. Through our middle school experience, our 6th to 8th grade students have a variety of exploration opportunities, volunteer projects, clubs and organizations. And then at the high school level, we're working on into things like youth apprenticeships, job shadows, clubs and organizations, and supervised work experiences. It's also important that we take a look at how this meets individual needs. So on a universal level, students have individualized support, including things like working with their counselor, advisors, and teachers. Our students in special education specifically work on a personal transition plan. It's not a replacement for specific ACP work, but rather that process gives students multiple means to prepare their goals for the future. And finally, we provide access to Zello in the School District of Holmen, as does the rest of the state of Wisconsin. So students have access to that at home. Parents can help log in and see what their students are planning. And then our district takes an extra step to utilize Course Planner. So students have a living, breathing plan that they work on with their counselor as they progress through high school in the courses that they want to take or need to take. Then the last bullet here, 3D, just is highlighting different courses where students have an opportunity to learn specific career readiness skills, including courses like personal finance or participating in college goal events. And then again, I just want to say one more time, none of that touches things like early college credit, youth apprenticeships, programs for students at risk. That's an enhancement to this basic plan that's developed here. But all of those are phenomenal things that are happening within our school district.
Right?
Any questions?
Any questions?
Do you track the data post-high school after graduation?
Yeah, that's a good question. So that'll be a separate presentation that comes, and so we looked at kind of where students are enrolling, but we do look at our postgraduate outcomes and then do some planning for this type of plan with that data. And that shows universities, students who are graduating within 4 years, graduating 5 years, 6 years, and just kind of.
So you follow that, not just 1 year, you follow?
Right, yeah.
Any other questions? I think that's it, Matt. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, Executive Director of Finance and Operations, Julie Holman, will now present an update on the McHugh Road Roundabout.
Gary, did you think this would ever happen, sitting at the
No.
board table?
Good evening. So I'm here this evening just to talk a little bit about the roundabout project. As you're aware, the board approved MOU with the Village of Holmen and the Town of Holland to share in the cost of the roundabout project at Briggs and McHugh Road. That project is scheduled to begin as soon as school is out. What I'm sharing this evening is additional schedules which are in the bid. The Village of Holmen is the administrator of this project. They took on that role in the collaborative work, and so currently their bid is out. They're waiting for vendors or contractors to submit, and the deadline is tomorrow. The reason I'm bringing this to you tonight is because through some work with the county and the village, we have added to the roundabout proposal a Schedule B and a Schedule C. So we've been talking about moving the pedestrian walk that is out here on Amy Drive. I'm getting ahead of myself. Everyone know where the roundabout's going, right? So here we are sitting at the district office, if you can see where my cursor is. And this is the draft drawing within the plan documents for the roundabout project. It's estimated that this will begin when school gets out, and we cross our fingers that everything is done before we start our next school year. Currently working on plans on how we are going to get in and out of the high school property in the meantime. In addition to Schedule A, which we're all aware of, we also have a Schedule B in the documents. The black and white drawing, again, is part of the project documents that are out for bid. The other side is my mouse attempt to show you where that's going to occur if we do choose Schedule B. So we have been talking about moving the pedestrian walk because of its current proximity to the driveway into the property on the east, on Amy Drive, and the confusion that occurs there. And so we had talked about moving it right out near this gate that is out here at the end of our property by the district office. Since then, with a lot of feedback from our transportation department, including our drivers, they had concerns about their ability to exit where they normally come through the bus loop and exit back out the same way when the roundabout is in place, and the idea that the traffic really won't stop and they would have a challenge getting out of the property at that time. And so working with the county and Chris Dahl, the village engineer, We also had the architect add a Schedule C, which is a designated westbound exit driveway out of the bus loop. So drawn on the screen, C, Schedule C. And so that is also an alternate that is in the current project documents. The purpose of this would be so that the buses could exit west, and if they need to go east for part of their route, they would follow through the roundabout with the rest of the traffic and continue on their way east. So they would go all the way through. And then if they need to go toward Holland or on the interstate, they would just go their normal westbound way. This is the preferred and also a little more expensive than the sidewalk option. With the Schedule C, we would plan to, either way, we're upgrading the pedestrian walk. We understand that it needs to have more lights, it needs, the flashing safety upgrades. We plan to put in, here's an image that you've seen around town. There's one currently over near the pool in the village for pedestrians, either going to the pool or to Viking Elementary. And so either way, we would plan to put in an upgrade for pedestrian crossings, whether it be at the existing pedestrian walk at Amy, or if we were to move the pedestrian walk closer to the gate, taking it away from the Amy Drive entrance to the property. The other recommendation on here is actually two-pair, because we are looking at an upgrade at our middle school as well for a more obvious pedestrian crossing location. So at this point in time, the recommendation would be two-pair, one at the high school and one at the middle school. We did look into upgrading our current poles sooner than later. This sort of solar-powered system is very heavy on the top, and it requires different base components installed, and so we're waiting for spring thaw so that we can make those adjustments and make that investment without wasting it, because a bad windstorm would damage that equipment if we don't do it properly from the ground up. And so our recommendation, I'm seeking your permission. Again, the recommendation is Schedule C. We estimate that to cost upwards of $40,000 if we do the driveway. The reason this is coming to you now is that the village wants their answer this week, and so we can't bring it back in March because they want to immobilize and get things ready so that they can start as soon as possible when school gets out. And so getting all the contractors ready to do that work it takes some time. And the reason that these pieces are part of the project bid right now is because when all that equipment is here, we'll get our best price. When they're already doing contract and dirt moving and gravel laying, and the infrastructure that we would need, the culvert that would be required over here, whether it's a sidewalk or a driveway, we would just get a better price if we do it when the roundabout work is also being done. So estimated cost ranges from about $15,000, which would be our portion of the sidewalk, because they're willing to share that, or up to $40,000. That's an estimate by the engineer, because the bids are not in yet, for the driveway. And then an additional approximately $40,000 for two pair of the lit, solar-powered, press the button, crossing walk, and then if the pedestrian walk remains at Amy Drive, I don't think I can do that on this screen. If it remains at Amy Drive, which is right here, we will be extending sidewalk. If you're familiar with it right now, the direction for the students to go is a little crazy. They're supposed to cross the main driveway and come up to the McHugh and then cross over in front of the buses and then cross McHugh. And so we're trying to improve on that as well. Behavior's hard to change and kids run across wherever they wish. And so we're trying to help accommodate where they're already going by adding a sidewalk along the curb line and drawing more paint across the driveway, working with the drivers and Dan and Andrea, who are here with us tonight, to find the best place, because right now the kids are crossing in front of the buses anyway, and we want to make it the safest pathway for them, and then add sidewalk. Right now, there isn't any sidewalk on the drainage ditch side of the property there. So that was a few different things. So the estimated cost for the pedestrian, 2 sets plus sidewalk, around $40,000. The middle school location is not yet determined. Speaking with Ryan a few weeks ago, we're trying to decide where's your top priority location for pedestrian upgrade, because they kind of come from many different angles over there. And so we would determine that and install where we feel is the greatest priority at this time.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
So if we go with Schedule C, then we're not moving the crosswalk, is that correct? We are just upgrading the crosswalk.
We would still upgrade it, make sure it's got the lit, solar-powered, flashing yellow signage, but not upgrading it,
And
and
the
not moving it.
And the
Because we
reason
don't,
you're recommending C over B is because there's more of an issue with the buses than there are with people crossing the road?
it just helps with the whole flow of traffic, especially the bus traffic. And then they are not exiting the same place that they're coming in, because right now we have bus traffic backup because often they can't turn in while they're turning out. So that helps with that flow of traffic as well, because this driveway over here is rather narrow for when a bus is turning in, and then traffic gets backed up east on McHugh as they're trying to all get in and out of the same driveway.
Are most of the kids already crossing over by Amy Drive, or are they crossing like wherever?
Well, I can tell you what I observe when I watch.
Yes.
Many of the kids, they come out that side door where the buses all pick up, or in that. But then what happens is they walk down the sidewalk, and then they all run across at all different places to the other side and go through the ditch over there to get to the crosswalk instead of using the sidewalk. But they all do use the crosswalk down right by Amy Drive. So the idea would be to improve the crosswalk there at Amy Drive with solar and flashing buttons, but then also create a sidewalk with an established crosswalk for the kids so they know exactly where they are to walk
On the property.
on the property.
And reduce the exiting bus traffic at the same place where the kids are crossing.
So is the total of everything you presented actually 80,000? Because it was 40,000 for C and then at 40,000 for the, okay,
And again, that's an estimate because
right.
it's out for bid. The pedestrian upgrades, those are 15,000 a pair currently quoted. And we're working on the sidewalk extension quote currently.
Is the village and/or the district working with the Holmen Safe Routes to School Task Force on any of this?
We have been working with them for a couple years, specifically on the high school property. Last year, we spent some time with Safe Routes to School, tracking pedestrians, bikers, cars, which direction they were going, all of that. Similarly, since we've switched our entrance in the morning for students to Amy Drive, those that are coming from the east, the high school has also been tracking similar data. How many are walking? It's winter, not as many. But a lot of parents still drop off on the south side of McHugh on Amy, so their children cross in the morning on foot often. But just trying to get a good handle on how are they getting where they're going and how many. When we did our work with Safe Routes last year, we had actually very few using the pedestrian walk, even crossing McHugh on foot or by bike, but we've had a couple very close calls this year, and it doesn't matter how many, it just needs to be more safe.
And are there any bike accommodations in the roundabout or even pedestrian accommodations in the roundabout, or is that designed for really vehicles only?
It has sidewalk pedestrian walkways on So north
North
and
to
south
south.
on Briggs. There, if you can see here, this would be the farm property kitty corner from us. There is not as much room there. You can see it's not as wide. That is not property that they are really taking over or going into as compared to the corner where the district office is. They're actually, through the MOU, we've approved to let them have a little bit of the property so that we can have that designated turn lane. The sign needs to be moved a little bit, but very few feet is being acquired to accomplish the extra turn lane to widen that area. That's always a problem for us, so.
Are there any shared costs with other municipalities on B or C? I know there is on A.
On B, there is the same shared cost. So right now on A, it's 50% school district, 25% Holland, 25% village. And similar distribution would be for B. And then C would be 100% Holmen School District. And as a reminder, none of it is county. So county gives us their blessing though, and we can add a driveway if we want. So that's good because we were worried about getting the permit, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Can I ask what fund we were planning to pay this out of?
Sure, fund balance.
Fund balance?
Yep.
Okay.
So that would come on a budget revision because part of it would probably hit our Q4 of this year, and then the balance would be in the summer, so mostly probably Q1, depending on when we're invoiced for that extra amount. The roundabout itself, all of that money that was part of our 2017 referendum has already gone to the village.
Okay. All right, any other questions or discussion? All right, so do we have consensus for, I guess, the recommendation for C? Should we start with that first? With option C? Do we have consensus there? Yep. Yes?
Yes.
And do we have consensus on the additional approximate 40 for the I guess that, right there. Pedestrian crosswalking upgrades. Do we have consensus there as well?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
you're welcome. All right, moving on to consent agenda items. For the consent agenda, the board has been furnished with background materials on each item or as discussed it at a previous meeting. These will be acted upon with one vote without discussion. If a board member wants to discuss any item, it will be pulled out of the consent agenda and voted on separately. Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as provided.
So moved.
Gary?
I can second.
Chris, a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes.
Right, it's that time of year, so I'd like to just thank a few. We have some retirees in that, and I just want to thank them for their service in the School District of Holmen. First, I'd like to thank Dayla Heineck. She's a special education assistant at Holmen Middle School for her time. Also, Jody Hoscheit. She's a teacher at Sand Lake, and she's been with us for 22 years, so she'll be retiring. Paul Laxton, 33 years. He teaches math over at the middle school. Alan must have had him as a teacher. Yeah. And Christine Michaels she is an art teacher, 34 years of service. So I want to just thank them. You think of it, 34 years, 33 years of their life, all in Holmen, in that, what dedication and commitment to our community and our students. So thank you so much for all that you've done all these years.
Okay, moving on to the board debrief. I will call upon board members and ask you to present any comments or committee reports you have. So tonight we'll start with Barb.
Thank you to Senator Paff for providing the legislative update tonight. And also thank you to the Holmen Lions Club for their donation to our middle school. I'd like to thank Elmaro Vineyard for providing our Prairie View Elementary School students with an opportunity to display their work, artwork. It was an eclectic place to be able to, I don't know how to say it, to be able to display that work. It was neat to see. Congratulations to our retirees, and I also just wanted to acknowledge the Holmen robotics team for their performance at Sparta last weekend.
Okay, thank you, Barb. Next up is Alan.
Yep. Again, like to thank Senator Brad Paff for coming here. He's not here anymore, but thank him for coming, as well as the Lions Club for the donation. 2 weekends ago, we had Soul Ensemble at the high school. We had a lot of ensembles and individuals perform very well. Plenty of them will be going to state May 6th at UWL, so if you're free that day, you can stop on by and see some of them perform. Besides that, we had, like mentioned earlier, we had 4 individuals go to state for wrestling, and although none of them took home the gold, they did a lot better than I think I could do, or most of us could do. So still, they deserve lots of kudos for that. Katie Lang is going to state for bars and gymnastics with an 8.8, if I recall correctly. So we look forward to seeing that. Benjamin Strupp and Jake Anderson, I believe it was yesterday, got second into the Top Tech Auto Challenge. It involves a lot of auto maintenance and repair, and so congratulations to them for that. I'd also like to echo the congratulations. There's a lot of stuff. Echo the congratulations to robotics. They did very well in Sparta. And then last but certainly not least, congratulations to the 17 going to state for powerlifting. Very big accomplishment.
All right, thank you, Alan. Maggie.
Yeah, the Personnel and Governance Committee met on February 15th. We discussed the policy on vacancies and sent that one back for a little more information. And then we did review and send electoral process, term, recall, qualifications, oath, student representation at board meetings, and annual school district meeting were reviewed and sent to the board for first reading. And then I agree with lots of the shout outs that have happened already, and also want to throw another one out for Family Literacy Night because it was excellent. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Maggie. Gary.
I'd like to thank Alan for doing such a great job of covering all the school events. It makes it a lot easier for the rest of us. Appreciate it. And I wish Brian Wilput the very best in his pursuits. He was great to work with and very knowledgeable. And I'm also very glad to see the roundabout come about. I didn't think it was ever going to come about. It's going to be really nice to get traffic in and out of there, but don't forget the back road in the back of the property. That's still in the works somewhere. It would be nice to get that as well. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Gary. Chris.
Just thanks to Senator Fab for coming out tonight and speaking with us. Always an honor to have him here. Guidance counselors, I wish I would have said something when they were here, but our family has benefited greatly from our relationship with Mrs. Dummer. So tomorrow when I'm at the school for a Read Across America event, I'll make sure and stop into her office and thank her personally. And then just second, Gary, just want to thank Brian for his service to the board. He's always been I've always appreciated his perspective and his professionalism as a member of this board. So I wish him the very best in his new adventures.
Yep, thank you, Chris. Bridget.
Yeah, the Student Achievement and Learning Committee met February 20th. We forwarded 8 policies to the board. 6 of those were without anything new in those policies. 2 were discussed at length, including the human growth and development, where we talked about options for opting out of that material, and then also had a good discussion around the Library Media Center policy, where we talked about the reconsideration of materials. And then we are going to bring back 2 other policies back to our committee. That would be the personal communication devices and the policy for student code of conduct. So more to come on those. And then I just wanted to give the Holmen Middle School a shout out for another fantastic National History Day project event. Even with having to cancel due to weather, it was amazing. And I just have so many kudos for those teachers who spend countless hours helping our children learn how to write and research a fantastic paper, and then also create projects. I mean, they are just amazing skills that we're teaching our kids. So thank you to all those teachers.
All right, thanks, Bridget. I'd like to also thank Senator Brad Pfaff for taking the time out of his busy schedule to come talk with us. I always enjoy these visits. I'd like to thank Mike Gasper for, did he leave on me?
He left.
For everything he does and for basically keeping Holmen on the map for the excellent or outstanding school nutrition program we have, and just also recognizing him for the National School Breakfast Week coming up next week. I also want to thank Brian Wopat for his service on the board. I learned a lot from Brian while he was here and always appreciated his perspective and knowledge in things. And so he will be missed greatly. And then I guess we just have a lot to celebrate because I saw that this was a Public Schools Week this week, and also with Read Across America. I look forward to participating in that tomorrow. So that's all I have. Moving on into the board debrief a little further, we have several committee written reports in our packet to review. There's the December 12th Finance Committee notes, the January 11th Personnel and Governance Committee notes, and the January 16th Student Achievement and Learning Committee notes. So please take a look at those. Our upcoming meeting schedule for March is, there's a Finance Committee meeting at 5 p.m. on March 13th, followed by a regular board meeting at 7. There is the next Personnel and Governance Committee meeting at 5 p.m. on March 15th. We have the Student Achievement and Learning Committee meeting at 4:30 on March 20th, followed by the Candidate Forum here in the boardroom at 7 p.m. And then our second regular board meeting of the month will be on March 27th. The board's been provided with 4 administrative rules and board policies that will be discussed at upcoming committee meetings, and has also been provided with 15 policies for a first reading from the Student Achievement and Learning Committee and the Personnel and Governance Committees. So please review those. Okay, so we have another closed session again this evening. So I now ask Board Clerk Maggie Smith to read the motion to move to closed session.
Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby moves to adjourn into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.851C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, in this case, the district administrator's evaluation.
All right, Maggie has made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, Chris has seconded. You can proceed with roll call.
That's yourself. Nice and
Here I go back to the top. Barb Wen,
Here. Yes or no?
Yes.
Alan Fox,
Doesn't get to vote.
Jennifer Deek,
Yes.
Gary Dunlap,
Yes.
Chris Lau,
Yes.
Bridget Todd Robbins,
Yes.
and myself, yes.